There is a saying across the whole kingdoms of Africa which says, "Never judge a man by the dust on his feet, for beneath that dust may lie the footprints of a king." Because power doesn't always shine. It doesn't always wear silk or gold. Sometimes power walks barefoot. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Now, let me ask you this. What will you do if the person you married, not out of love, but out of desperation, turned out to be a king in exile? A man not chasing glory, but running from the blood on his family's throne? Would you run away from him? Would you kneel? Or would you stand beside him, not as a prisoner, not as a servant, but as an equal? This is the story of KELEN, the poor village girl sold into marriage, the hunter's wife. The woman who discovered that sometimes the true crown doesn't sit on the head, it beats strong in the heart. Listen carefully. This story is not just about love. It is about betrayal. It is about choices. It is about what happens when truth refuses to stay buried. Let me take you back to a place where this story begins. In a small village called Adaeze, the rains had failed 3 seasons in a row. The rivers had shrunk to quiet streams. Goats, their ribs sharp as knives, cried out weakly in the heat. In Adaeze, hunger was not just hunger, it was a curse. And KELEN, KELEN was its prisoner. She was beautiful, not the soft but sweet beauty that wins hearts. Her beauty was fierce, proud, the kind that speaks without words, the kind that stands tall even when life tries to break you. But pride does not fill empty stomachs, or does it? Her father's eyes had grown dull from failure. Her mother's back bent lower each year from struggle. The little ones cried through the night, bellies swollen from hunger like kwashiorkor. And so, when the elders came, they did not ask KELEN what she wanted. They came with an offer, and that offer was a man. The hunter who lived on the edge of the forest. His name was Oba. No family, no friends, only a goat, a basket of meat, and a quiet promise of, "I will provide." The deal was made, not out of love, not even out of kindness, but out of the cruel maths of survival. "You are lucky," her mother whispered. "A hunter will feed you well, KELEN." But KELEN did not feel lucky. Her dreams were soft things, but life was hard. Oba, a very tall, silent, very calm eyes man. The day he came to take KELEN, he brought no music, no dancing, no laughter, only a note of, "I do not expect love," he told her that night, "only peace." And so the days passed. KELEN cooked. She cleaned. She worked. Oba hunted. Disappeared into the forest for hours, sometimes days. When he returned, there was always food, but there was never talk. There was never discussion. There was never fellowship between the two of them. To the villagers, it was just another poor marriage. Another girl given away to keep a family alive. But KELEN, she noticed the knife Oba always cleaned at night. The strange symbol carved into its handle. A lion surrounded by a crown. She noticed the fine gold ring he kept hidden beneath his tunic. The rare spices he brought back, not the kind found in their market. And sometimes, late at night, when he thought she was asleep, she heard him singing low, mournful songs, not in the language of their village, but in the tongue of kings. The whispers in the village began softly. Have you seen the hunter's guest? Men with soft hands, not calloused like ours. They speak to him like he is someone else. The village chief, Shea Tobias, heard the whisper too. A man whose belly was round with greed. He listened when strangers came asking. Find the hunter, they told him, slipping gold into his hands. We are looking for someone who does not wish to be found. But not everyone in the village was blind. Nene, the chief's daughter, KELEN's childhood friend, had enough to be afraid. One evening, she came quickly to KELEN's door and said, "They are watching your home. You must be careful." The rains came again, but KELEN's heart stayed dry. She could not ignore the signs any longer. When Oba left to check his traps, her hands moved on their own. She lifted the mat, pulled loose the floorboard, found a box, heavy, carved from dark wood, and inside that box was the truth. A crown, a royal sash, stitched with gold, letters sealed in wax, marked with a lion and a crown. When Oba returned, she did not hide what she had found. She stood waiting. "Who are you?" she asked. And finally he answered. "My name is Olufemi," he said, "son of Adebayo, the rightful heir to the Western Kingdom, betrayed by my brother, haunted, hiding." The chief had already sent words to the soldiers of the false king. Strangers began to arrive. Soldiers dressed as traders, eyes too sharp, smiles too thin. And one night, their hearts got burnt. KELEN woke up, choking in smoke. The roof above her cracked, flames eating their homes alive. Oba, Olufemi, pulled her out just in time. "Run," he told her. "Save yourself." But KELEN was no longer a girl they had sold. Yeah, she was no longer that small girl that was sold. "I was forced into this life," she said, "but now I choose, and I choose to stay. Not for your crown, not for your name, but for you." They fled into the forest. Days turned to weeks. They faced storms, wild beasts, betrayals. A man who offered them shelter tried to hand KELEN over for a coin. Another laid traps, hoping to claim the bounty on the prince's head. But they survived because KELEN was no longer afraid of fate, and Olufemi was no longer willing to hide away from it. Words began to spread. The prince lives. The lion has not fallen. Old allies came out of their hiding. They sang again the songs of the house of Adebayo. Exiled guards gathered in secret. Ekene, the guard who once saved Olufemi, found them. Your people are waiting, my prince, he said. Will you rise or will you keep running? Olufemi turned to KELEN. I will not fight for revenge, he said, but I will stand for justice. And KELEN stood beside him, not behind. Yes, besides. This is not just a story about kings. This is not just a story about love. This is a story about choice, about courage, about standing when life tells you to kneel. Because true power is not in the blood, it is in the heart. And love, true love, does not ask you to bow, it asks you to rise. If this story touched your heart, share your thoughts in the comment section. Would you have stood beside the hunter or walked away? Like, subscribe, and stay with me for more African stories. Stories of truth, power, and the courage to choose your own path. And remember, sometimes the real kings wear dust on their feet, and sometimes the crown lives in the heart. God bless you.